Senator Jeff Merkley speaks for over 22 hours as Democrats stall the Senate amid Trump's push to reopen government funding. The government shutdown has stretched to its third week, with Democrats once again blocking GOP efforts to reopen federal services. Oregon's Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley held the Senate floor for more than 22 hours in protest, demanding the continuation of healthcare subsidies. Republicans, led by President Trump, argue that Democrats are keeping the government closed for political leverage instead of returning to the negotiating table.
It's so important at this moment of time to amplify the extraordinary moment we're in of an aggressive authoritarian takeover of our republic. The folks who came to the floor to ask questions and make points really highlighted so many of the different dimensions in which this authoritarian playbook is unfolding. The way it's unfolding in terms of the president weaponizing the Department of Justice to go after a political enemies list. The way it's unfolding with the president seeking every strategy and angle possible to get the courts to give him a green light for the ability to deploy troops in our cities when there is no rebellion, there is no invasion, and no insurrection.
Throughout his 22-hour speech, Merkley accused the administration and Republican leadership of supporting what he described as dangerous executive overreach. His remarks echoed earlier Democratic criticism from Cory Booker's 25-hour protest speech earlier this year, as both sought to rally opposition to what they call overreach by the White House. Republicans, however, remain focused on reopening government services and stabilizing the economy amid Democrats' political showmanship.
One of the things that we have to recognize is you have these three main features in which an authoritarian government, you have a largely rubber stamp Congress. And that's what we have. When the Republicans here say, well, we can't do that because Trump wouldn't like it, that's a rubber stamp Congress. When the Supreme Court proceeds to add more power to the executive, as they did in Trump versus the United States, saying the president's above the law. I was thinking about how President Trump in his first term kept thinking and floating occasionally the idea of pardoning himself. Well, the Supreme Court did it for him. He can't be convicted of a crime because the president's now above the law.
As the marathon speech ended, Republicans reiterated that reopening the government remains their top priority, while Democrats continue to use floor protests to push their policy demands. With negotiations stalled and both sides deeply entrenched, Americans now await a breakthrough that can end the nation's second longest funding lapse.